me, way back, 2,000 years back. God had been providing for his people for centuries. He had made special promises to Abraham. He had rescued them from slavery. He had spoken to Moses and shown them how to live. He brought them to a special land. He rescued them no matter what time and time again. God had always, all through the years, been loving his children, even when they disobeyed, even when they ran away from him, even when they thought they didn't need him. It had taken centuries for God's people to be ready, but now the time had almost come for the best part of God's plan. God himself was going to come, not to punish the people, but to rescue them. But how would he come? What would he be like? What would he do? Mountains would bow down to him, seas would have roared, trees would have clapped their hands, but the earth held its breath. As silent as snow falling, he came in. And when no one was looking, in the darkness, he came.
There was a young woman named Mary, who was engaged to a man named Joseph. One morning, a great warrior of light, an angel named Gabriel, appeared in Mary's bedroom. Mary, he said, you're going to have a baby, a little boy. You will call him Jesus. He's God's own son. He's the one. He's the rescuer. Mary couldn't believe her eyes. But she trusted God more than what her eyes could see. And she believed, I am God's servant. And she said, whatever God says, I will do.
Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem just before Mary was to have her baby. The time came for Mary to give birth, and there was nowhere for them to stay. And there was nowhere for them to stay. They was turned away by every innkeeper and ended up in an old tumble-down stable. And there, in the stable, along the chickens and the donkeys and the cows, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his gift, wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born, God's baby son.
Mary and Joseph wrapped him to keep him warm. They gazed in the wonders of God's great gift, wrapped in swaddled clothes lying in the bed. Mary and Joseph named him Jesus, which means God come to live with us, because of course he had.
That same night, and among the other stars, suddenly a bright new star appeared. Of all the stars in the dark sky, this one shone clearer. God put it there when his baby son was born to be like a spotlight, shining on him, lighting up the darkness, showing people the way to him. And now God was going to send a big choir of angels to sing his happy song to the world. He's here. He's come. Go and see him, my little boy. Now, where would you send your splendid choir? To a big concert hall, maybe? Or a palace, perhaps? God sent his to a little hillside outside a little town in the middle of the night. He sent all of those angels to sing for a raggedy bunch of shepherds watching their sheep outside of Bethlehem. People didn't think much of shepherds in those days, but God must have thought the shepherds were very important indeed, because they were the ones he chose to tell the good news to first. That night, some of the shepherds were out in an open field, warming themselves by a campfire, when suddenly the sheep darted. They were frightened by something. They turned around. Standing in front of them was a huge light, blazing in the darkness.
Don't be afraid of me, the bright shining angel said. I haven't come to hurt you. I've come to bring you amazing news for everyone, everywhere. Today, in the town of King David, God's son has been born. You can go and see him. He is lying in a manger.
Behind the angel, they saw a great glowing cloud of angels, troops and troops of angels, armed with light. They were singing a beautiful song, Glory to God in the highest. As quickly as they appeared, the angels left.
The shepherds stamped out their fire, left their sheep, and ran through the gates of Bethlehem until they reached the tumble-down stable. They caught their breath, then quietly tiptoed inside. They knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard of this promised child, and now he was here, heaven's son, the maker of the stars, a baby sleeping in his mother's arms.
This baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky, a light to light up the whole world, chasing away darkness, helping people to see in the dark of the night God, the brighter that star shines.
And that miraculous baby grew into a man. God's own son allowed himself to be taken, to be beaten, to be ridiculed, and to be taken to the cross to give his life for us. The people shouted at him, "If you were really the Son of God, you could just climb down off that cross." And of course, they were right. Jesus could have just said the word and a legion of angels would have flown to his side. But you see, the crowd didn't understand. It wasn't the nails that kept Jesus on that cross. It was love.
Even though in the middle of the day the sun could shine, the earth tumbled and shook, great mountain shock. Rogers 22, till it seemed it all fall apart.
The full force of God's anger at sin was coming down on his own people instead of his people. His own son instead of his people. It was the only way God could destroy sin and not destroy his churches. His hearts were filled with sin.
Then Jesus shouted in a loud voice, "It is finished," and it was. He had it done. Jesus rescued the whole world.
Jesus' friends were sad. They thought they would never see their best friend again. But on the third day after Jesus' death, an angel appeared at Jesus' tomb. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Jesus isn't dead anymore. He is risen. He is alive."
And he was alive again. Jesus is the Savior and the Rescuer of the whole world. Now we should go anywhere and tell everyone the happy news. We should tell them that Jesus loves us so much that he died for us. That baby who was born in Bethlehem was God himself.
And from the very beginning of time, God has been working out his rescue plan. Heaven came down to live with us so that we would stop running away from God and start running toward our rescue.